begin. I'm glad to be here. Of course, I don't exactly know who my audience is. I'm assuming there are children listening. So I would like to just say that I'm glad to be here today to read to you my book, Good Night Whispers. And I wish there was some way to, at this point, okay, beautifully now, thank you, good, because I have no idea. All I see is my phone screen here, and I can't see myself even. So we'll do the best we can. This is my book, Good Night Whispers, and it seems a little funny because it's usually people think of it as a bedtime story, and here it's the middle of the morning. So, but this doesn't mean we can't do it. We have there are lots of things about this book that aren't about bedtime. It begins with a bedtime and it kind of ends at bedtime, and it is a good bedtime story. But Good Night Whispers is my book, and before I begin, I'd like to just tell you a little bit about the illustrator, because when you write a book like this one, the way I did, a very important part of it, of course, are the pictures. And the illustrator for this book is a man who lives in the country of Spain. And I've never met him. I think a lot of people think that when you write a book like this, you work with the illustrator or you know the illustrator. And that's usually not the case. Sometimes the writer is the illustrator. If you're good enough at drawing and writing, you can do both. But I'm not very good at drawing. I like to draw, but my drawings would not be good for a book. I'm glad the company who published the book found a good illustrator for me. And some of my other books, like most people, this was illustrated by a woman who lives in Massachusetts, and I've never met her. And this book, most days, was written by or illustrated by a woman who lives in New York, and I've never met her. That's the way it's done most of the time. You don't meet the illustrator, but the illustrator for this book did a wonderful job. So I would like to begin now with our book. And do you see the pages of the book at this point? The cover of the book, perhaps. Let's see. I think I'm doing that again. You see the cover. Good. I wish I could. I'm going to try to. There. Now I did something. I think this is going to help me. How does that look? I think we're there. So let me proceed with Good Night Whispers, which takes us from the life of a little girl from when she's a baby all the way until she's an adult. And usually children's books don't do that, but this one does. So let's get started. Okay, come on. Something's wrong here. I don't know why we're having this problem. I'm not able to do it. It worked yesterday when we tested it. I think what I'm going to have to do at this point, do you see you're on screen share so we can see the book on your screen? I know, but I can't turn the pages on my end. I'm trying desperately to do that. So I'm just trying to scroll down and show the next page, but I'm not able to. Oh, this is a disaster. I'm just going to go back to. I don't know why that didn't work. Are you seeing me now? I suspect. Just me. Two of me. Oh boy. Let me try this. Is there just one of me now? That's what I'm going. I see the suggestion. That's what I want to do. I see you and the cover. No. That's what I want to do. I'm going to read the book like this and try to show the pictures the best I can. over the computer. Okay, good night whispers. Late one quiet night, a man tiptoed to the side of his daughter's crib. He tucked the edges of the blanket around her tiny feet. He touched his hand to her cheek. He whispered in her ear, "You are the most wonderful girl in the world." He stood at the crib the following night. He whispered, "I can't wait to hold you in my arms again in the morning." And the next night, "I love you very much." The baby grew to be a toddler, and every night the man whispered to her, his voice like a thread, stitching a beautifully woven garment. Today you fell and hurt yourself, but you got back up and kept climbing to the top of the hill. You are brave and strong. You are blossoming like the forget-me-nots we discovered at the edge of the creek. I love being your father. Time went by and the toddler became a young girl. She knew how to do so many things now. Every night the man whispered to her, "You climb like a monkey, swim like an otter, and jump like a kangaroo." When you sing, the world stops to listen. Because you're here, everything is perfect. The girl became a teenager, and she was like the sun shining high in the sky. She put her heart into everything she did. At your soccer game, you ran and kicked until you had no breath left. I was so proud of you. I watched you dancing with your friends today. What a joyful dancer you are. What a fun-loving friend. You work and play so hard every day. When the girl was a woman, she moved far away. The man no longer stood at her bedside, whispering in the night, but his words echoed in her dreams, always finding their way to her heart. All through her life, she heard her father's goodnight whispers. When she made a mistake, "You are smart and good." When frustrations tangled her up, "You will always be okay. You are strong." When luck turned against her, "Everything will be all right." The woman trusted her father's voice. One day, the woman got a call. Her father was ill and needed her help. She and her little son arrived just as the sun was going down. Late that night, the man lay sleeping. His daughter sat at his side, a photo album open on her lap. She studied a picture of her father. She gazed into the eyes of her grandmother. She traced her finger around a yellow-edged photograph of her great-grandfather. She closed the album and turned out the light. She bent and kissed her father's forehead, then lowered her lips to his ear. "You are the most wonderful man in the world." She left the room and tiptoed to her son's bed, where he lay quiet and still. "You are good," she whispered, "from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes. You are so very, very good." She slipped into her own bed and pulled the covers to her chin. She drifted off to sleep to the gentle whispers of the night. And I think it's so important for all of us to do these kinds of things every day, to say nice things to the people we are with. And sometimes to do more than that, but to write the words and make a little card to tell somebody things like we heard in the book. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. Maybe this is something everybody could do if they want to write a Mother's Day card. or something to your friend or to your grandma or to your uncle, to say something nice, to write it down perhaps and give it to them. But nice things happen when you say nice things to other people, compliments or just words of thanks. And I think we're about out of time. So thank you very much for being with me today.